Okay, what is good, everybody? Blizzards here. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be doing something different, something I haven't done on the channel before in this sort of format. Okay, we done a video 2 years ago where we ranked Bruce Springsteen's albums, but the format we chose for that video was all on screen. It was like a presentation slash slideshow. There was no voiceover or no webcam. So I wanted to change up the format. We're doing a tier list, and I wanted to change up and update my rankings. So in front of you now, you can see that we are using Tier Maker. For people who don't know what this is, it's a free to use website where you can go on, make your own templates if you want, or choose a template that's already there, and you can just rank away, So we have the albums here in front of us, the 21 studio albums. We're not doing more, we're not doing less, we're just doing the 21 studio albums and placing them into the tier list. Okay? For people, once again, who are unaware of tier lists and stuff like that, the S is the highest and obviously C is the lowest. But on the other page, okay, this is how we are going to randomize or order. Okay, so originally I was just going to go with the order that was on the tier list, the order in which it was imported. But I just thought that was kind of too, what's the word? Like, you can kind of see what's coming up, and I didn't really like that idea. So we have a spin the wheel where I have all the albums that we are going to be ranking today on the list here on the side. And they're all on this wheel. Some of them now are kind of abbreviated. We're going to spin the wheel, whichever we get here, then we go back to the tier list and we rank that album. Okay? Now today I'm not taking sort of an in-depth analysis of each album. I'm not really talking about it too much. We're just kind of going straight into the rankings. I may give like my favorite song or whatever, but in a future video down the line, we may do kind of like that, just like an in-depth analysis of each album. But what we're working with here today, I've listened through all of these albums from start to finish multiple times, so I'm very familiar with what we're working with. I think it would be pretty cool if you could share your ranking as well down in the comments. I don't think you can attach an image, but you could write one out, as it would be nice for the whole community to see other people's rankings and what they think. This is all personal opinion based. I don't want any kind of triggering in the comments. You can make your own one, send it to me. I'd love to see it, but this is just what I feel. Okay, if you'd like to check out my Patreon and the second channel, I will leave the link in the description for both of them. And I haven't made a video for Goblin Healy in a couple of days now, so we're going to be working on that channel now for a few days until we come up with another video for Blizzards. So yeah, look, without further ado, let's jump into it. We got the wheel right here. Okay, we spin it. Whatever we get, we rank first. All right, very exciting news. All right, let's go. I think it's a good way of doing it. All right, starting off strong with The River. Okay, so The River came out in 1980, has 20 tracks, alright, came before Nebraska, after Darkness. Yeah, like that, like the River tour is considered one of his best tours, in my opinion, and it's just an overall great, lengthy, catchy album where it kind of has a lot of different emotions in terms of the songs. You get songs such as Wreck on the Highway and The River, Point Blank, and then you get kind of jams like Hungry Heart, Crush on You, Cadillac Ranch, So I feel like it's a great album. If, I think it's like an hour and 23 or something like that. So if you're going for like a spin or a day out with the family and you want to pick a CD or an album to listen to, I do feel The River is a great contender for that. Personally, that's how I would roll. I would pick The River if I was going on like a journey and I wanted kind of a variety of different songs. We're going to start off strong and place The River at the top of A tier. Okay? Let's go. So A is good. You might be saying, why didn't I put it in S tier? I feel like it's a very strong A tier album so far. Okay? I don't want to be just jumping to the S tiers. You know, I don't want to be biased and just gonna go, yeah, that's S tier, because we'd be probably putting everything in S tier in that case if I went down that road, you know. Next up, we have Working on a Dream. Okay, Working on a Dream. Where are you? Okay, here. Right. Okay, is this an S tier album? Maybe. Okay, so this is after Magic, okay, before Wrecking Ball, has 13 songs. The problem with this album is there's just so much going on with it, okay? Like, it's like it doesn't have a theme. There's so many different style tracks. It just feels like it doesn't pinpoint on what the album is about. Now, I will give it the benefit of the doubt where there is some highlights in the album. Personally, I feel like Working on a Dream, My Lucky Day is okay. The Wrestler, a great song, but in my head, I don't really count it for Working on a Dream because it was more made for the film than the album, I feel. But, you know, you have a few. What else do you have? Good Eye, What Love Can Do. But then you have kind of strange songs that I just don't really like. Kind of Queen of the Supermarket, Life Itself, Kingdom of Days is alright. So look, instead of blabbing on, I'm going to just get it out of the way and put it in C tier. Okay? Yeah, I think it deserves the C tier spot. Has some highlights, but overall it just doesn't accomplish much for me in regards to how an album should be. Next up, is it Letter to You? Okay, Letter to You. I have this kind of rule where I can't change an album's position. So once I place down an album, I can't go back 10 minutes later and, like, you know, change the position of it. Okay, the album before Only the Strong Survive. Definitely one of his most recent biggest achievements in terms of an album in recent years. Maybe since Magic, or even, I feel like it got more critical acclaim than Wrecking Ball, I feel. But I don't know. People can let me know. Either Wrecking Ball or Magic was his last, I suppose, big hit in terms of prior to Letter to You. But yeah, look, it has some great songs. It has the 3 re-recorded unreleased tracks that were made back in the early 70s, and he decided to put them onto this album, which, you know, I know a few people who aren't really into those songs, but personally I do enjoy them. If I Were the Priest would probably be my favorite out of the 3, but other highlights would be Ghosts, Letter to You, Burning Train, House of a Thousand Guitars. Okay, only flaw really would be Power of Prayer, maybe, and at times Song for Orphans I could have kind of enough of, but they're only small flaws. Like, I wouldn't like hate them, I just kind of like sometimes skip them if I have them on Spotify or if I get it on shuffle. But look, we are going to put Letter to You at the top of S tier, okay, at the moment. Now people are looking at this like, alright, you have Letter to You over The River, and maybe a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but this is my tier list, boys. This is how it's going. This is how we roll. Like I said, send in your ranking. I would love to see them. Okay, moving on swiftly. What do we got next? Devils and Dust? Okay, We Shall Overcome. So it's an album compiling of covers from Pete Seeger. And it's a long enough album as well. Has 18 tracks, including American Land. And yeah, like that, like it has some fun tunes. It's a folk kind of genre album for people who are into folk music. A few highlights for me, like this now, okay? Because the album is so big, there's a couple of songs where I just wouldn't dig, okay? That just don't connect to me personally. Some of those would be like We Shall Overcome. Jacob's Ladder is okay. What's the other one? Froggy Went to Courtin', or something like that. You know, so there's a few songs in the album that just wouldn't be my style. But you have the likes of Pay Me My Money Down, Old Ann Tucker, Oh Mary Don't You Weep, Mrs. McGrath, Erie Canal, Eyes on the Prize, okay, and even the addition of American Land. I feel this is a very strong covers album, okay, and I am going to place this album the top of tier B. Nebraska. Okay. I felt like it was kind of a risky project in which Bruce undertook, because with his massive fame coming off of Born to Run, Darkness, The River, he went in a sort of a different direction releasing this one. But that risk paid off big time. It is loved worldwide. You know, any kind of fan or casual Bruce Springsteen listener I talk to really seem to enjoy this album, and same goes for me. I immensely enjoy the stuff on this. But yeah, like that, 10 songs, okay. Some highlights for me, like the whole album is a highlight, really. Personally, some tracks I like would be Nebraska, Highway Patrolman, State Trooper, and even Johnny 99. They're great tracks, but the whole album is just a masterpiece, all in all. I'm going to put, like, it also depends on your mood, okay? So you wouldn't play this if you were kind of going to a wedding, or you know, or you're in the car with a group of friends, or you're having a party. It all depends on the mood that you're in and the mood of other people around you when you should play this, you know. So once you're in your right element, then this album could instantly become your favorite album, you know. So like that, I think mood is very dependent on where this album stands in terms of a ranking. But I am going to place this album at the top of S tier, but behind Letter to You. Okay, next up on the wheel. Born to Run. Okay, Born to Run. This is the album that really set Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band off the rails, you know, in a good way, off the rails, not in a bad way. It's the album that just kept on growing at the time. And I suppose he kept on getting better with his albums too. But this is the pinnacle moment in Bruce's timeline, in the history of Bruce. That was, I suppose, the beginning of it all. You know, I know you had the first two albums, but those two albums didn't reach a level in which Born to Run reached. It's just a masterclass album. He went in kind of a different direction in terms of like style of music and lyrics compared to the first two. But man, it's just there's nothing bad to say about this album. Now, where I place it though may trigger some people. The only flaw I would have with this album is the song Meeting Across the River, and Night is only okay. Like, not only okay, like, I'd listen to it a lot, but not as much as the rest of the album. So they would be the only two songs that I'd be like, okay, but come on, like, you have Jungle Land, Born to Run, Thunder Road, Backstreets, She's the One. 10th Avenue Freeze Out as well, which is personally my favorite track from the album. But yeah, so we're going to rank Born to Run behind Letter to You and in front of Nebraska. All right. Some people are going to be spamming the comments like, what you doing? What you doing? All right, let's move on. Spin the wheel of goodness. The Ghost. All right, The Ghost of Tom Joad. Right. So, The Ghost of Tom Joad came out in 1995, right after Human Touch and Lucky Town, before The Rising. It was Bruce's 90s era. I feel personally Bruce got a bad rap for his 90s stuff, but personally I actually enjoyed his 90s era. Not so much this album, like compared to the other two albums in the era, but I like when artists kind of go down an experimental route, and that's what the 90s were for Bruce. They were kind of they were a decade in which Bruce kind of went off, done his own thing, went off with another band. Okay, well, the other band, to be precise. Not for this album, though, for Human Touch and Lucky Town, but it was his experimental time. Okay, he was trying new things, wasn't with the E Street Band, and I suppose he was trying to discover some more sounds and kind of just basically discover himself more. And I applaud it for that, and I would give Ghost of Tom Joad a little bit more credit just for that reason alone. Some highlights from this album would be the title track, obviously, Youngstown. Then you have Highway 29. It's a great song. Straight Time. Dry Lightning is good. You know, Across the Border isn't bad. So, like, you know, you have a few highlights from this. There's a few songs that do kind of bore me a small bit. That, like, once again, making my point with Nebraska, it does depend in what sort of mood you're in. If you're really just kind of in a chill mood and you want to take in this kind of music, then you may have more of a tolerance and kind of a higher appreciation for this album, because you can kind of just chill out and listen to the slow, drawn out kind of songs. But, you know, for me personally, on any kind of given day, this album really is just 50-50 for me. So in that case, we are going to rank it above Working on a Dream, okay, in the C tier. So above Working on a Dream, but in the C tier. Okay, so next up we got another 90s album that we just kind of talked about right there. Lucky Town. Alright, so Lucky Town would be probably my favorite out of the 3 albums from the 90s. Okay, it's short and simple, has 10 songs. Okay, and in theory, like, only one of those songs, The Big Muddy, was kind of like a mistake. Like, I felt that it shouldn't have been on the album, even though it kind of fit with the theme. It's just I don't know. It's just it's a hard song to kind of listen to and really enjoy. But, like, come on, If I Should Fall Behind, Lucky Town, Better Days, you know what I mean? Souls of the Departed, My Beautiful Reward, Leap of Faith, Local Hero. Alright, I think the reason why I prefer this album over the other two 90s albums is mainly because it's 10 songs, it's short and simple, there isn't much flaws about it. I think if The Big Muddy wasn't in the album, it would be considered a masterpiece in my eyes. And I just feel like it's an album that gets overlooked 95% of the time. So in that case, I am going to put Lucky Town in the A tier behind The River. Okay, next up we got Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. So this is the album that kind of obviously introduced us to Bruce and the E Street Band. Okay, it's the album that started it all off. And I don't know. I feel like it's an album you couldn't really rank poorly, because like that, like take the equivalent of a zombie map, Nocturne and Toten. It was the first ever zombie map, but it's the map that made the blueprint for what zombies is today. And without Noct, who knows where zombies would have headed to. So I feel like in a way it relates to Bruce, because this is the album that basically set off his career. Okay, and he took inspiration from a lot of artists at the time, Bob Dylan being one of them. And you can see his progression throughout the years up until now, even with his style of music, the lyrics he goes for, the way the music is orchestrated and arranged. I feel like the release of this album was a crucial moment in the music industry. And also looking at it now, a lot of fans would consider this to be a solid to near perfect album. But to me, okay, even though I still consider it a really good, strong album, there's a couple of songs I find kind of meh, and they would be Mary Queen of Arkansas, The Angel is okay, and is that it? That's probably it. I do really enjoy Spirit in the Night, growing up, Blinded by the Light, It's Hard to be a Saint in the City. So there is a few I do really like, but I suppose I do like the majority of it, just except for the two I mentioned. So in that case, it's going in A tier, behind Lucky Town. Okay, I kind of like what I have at the moment, and we're doing good. We're doing good. Okay, next up we got. Are you serious? Okay. We are on to the Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. Okay. Alright. So, once again, right, similar kind of topics to Asbury Park. Okay. Where I feel, this album, you have to kind of critique it a bit more. It being the second album, and I know it came out the same year and everything, but I would prefer Greetings over this album here. Okay, I feel this album is very overrated in terms of some rank lists that I've seen in the past, but in my eyes, I find it very overrated. Okay, I can't really get into some of the songs. Kitty's Back, Incident on 57th Street, Rosalita is a masterpiece, definitely the biggest highlight of the album. Wild Billy's Circus Story is very good. The E Street Shuffle is a vibe. New York Serenade is groovy too. But in terms of comparing it to Greetings, I do feel I prefer Greetings over the E Street Shuffle. So in that case, I am going to put the E Street Shuffle in B tier, but over We Shall Overcome. Okay, so it is the top of B tier. Alright, we got Tunnel of Love. So Tunnel of Love kind of discusses themes about his relationships, his relationship problems, but it also started the era of himself and Paddy. So I do think it's a very crucial timeline in Bruce's life. Once again, very personal. It's a very personal album to Bruce. Once again, similar to Nebraska, where it's different to some of the previous albums he released. He went in sort of a different direction. This was the era as well in which the E Street Band broke up. Bruce and the E Street kind of went their separate ways, which I suppose made the album a little bit awkward, the release of the album, and also the upcoming tour surrounding the album with the E Street Band. People didn't know where to look. But the main thing to take away from this is the highlights in which the album gave us, and also the start of a relationship between Paddy and Bruce. So some highlights would be Brilliant Disguise, Tougher Than the Rest, Two Faces, Ain't Got You. The whole album is really a highlight. The only song I wouldn't really vibe to would be Valentine's Day, but that's about it. You know, the rest of the album is it's top class. It's a solid, tight album. So in that case, where do we rank it? I am going to place it in B tier. Okay, so in B tier, but let's see here. I'm going to put it right before The River. Okay, I do prefer The River over Tunnel of Love. I would play The River a bit more often, but I would play Tunnel of Love over Lucky Town and Greetings. Devils and Dust. Okay, let's remove that. Okay, be Magic. Okay, so we do Devils and Dust, then we do Magic. Okay, so where's Devils and Dust? Okay, so Devils and Dust came out in 2005. Okay, sometimes in my head I like to combine The Ghost of Tom Joad, Devils and Dust, and Western Stars together as a package, because to me they explore similar themes. They have sort of a similar sound about it. But even though Devils and Dust would be definitely darker, bleaker, more morbid, same with Ghost of Tom Joad compared to Western Stars. Western Stars has a bit more oomph to it. But Devils and Dust, I actually do really enjoy the sound it has. You know, that deep tone. And some highlights to take away from this: title track, All I'm Thinking About, All the Way Home, Reno, Maria's Bed, Black Cowboys, The Hitter, which is another great track. But you might have a few songs in there that you'd listen to, but similar to Ghost of Tom Joad, I would probably prefer a lot more of Devils and Dust compared to The Ghost of Tom Joad. So there'd only be like 2 or 3 from Devils and Dust in which I'd find okay. But yeah, so I would consider Devils and Dust to be a stronger album. So it comes down to the ranking. Where would we put and place Devils and Dust? Okay, I'm feeling B tier. All right, and I'm thinking, would I play it over Seeger Sessions? Yes. Would I play it over the E Street Shuffle? Yeah, I would, personally. So we are going to place Devils and Dust over The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle and Seeger Sessions. This is accurate, man. In my head, this is looking accurate. Okay, so we already picked Magic. So Magic, it came out basically 2 years after Devils and Dust. So we went from Devils and Dust, Seeger Sessions, and then Magic. Magic was a great album. Honestly, there's some great tracks on Magic. You're starting off with the opening track, which is Radio Nowhere. You know, you're ending with Terry's Song, which is an emotional song written for his friend. But then you also have different kind of songs in there: Gypsy Biker, Devil's Arcade, You Be Coming Down, Girls in Their Summer Clothes. So I think it's an album that's kind of packed with variety, packed with kind of rock and roll goodness. This album was also my favorite album for a very long time. I think from the ages of like 11 to 15, this would have been an album I'd consider my favorite, because we would have it on a CD, and this was before playing any Bluetooth, Spotify or YouTube or anything like that. We would always have the physical CDs, and this was just the CD I'd play the most. So I heard so much of it during that time, and I still listen to it today. I still love the album. Living in the Future is a great track. Okay, so it's time to decide, where does Magic fit? Okay, it's not a C tier, it's not a B tier, S tier or A tier. And looking at what we have here so far, I'm going to put it in A tier. And I'm going to put it over Greetings. I'm going to put it over Lucky Town. And I'm going to place it there in the middle. Okay? In between Tunnel of Love and Lucky Town. Let's see here. Wrecking Ball. Okay. This album came out 5 years after Magic. It was the album after Working on a Dream. And similar again, like this album I kind of got into later in my life. So when I done like kind of the full discography of Bruce and I was going on to this album, it took me definitely 2 or 3 playthroughs, maybe 4, to fully get into the music, the style of music, the direction he was going in. Because, you know, if you're comparing this album to Magic, there's a lot of differences. So, you know, there's some highlights from this album, you know, definitely the title track, We Take Care of Our Own, Debt to My Hometown, Shackled and Drawn, Jack of All Trades, This Depression, you know. So it does have a lot of highlights. Swallowed Up in the Belly of the Whale is only okay. We Are Alive is also okay. So, you know, it does have like 1 or 2 songs that are okay, average, like mid-tier songs. But I think the rest of the album does bring that up like a lot. And I love what he done with this album, because he went from Working on a Dream, which was kind of like, yeah, to this, which got everybody hyped up, to then releasing High Hopes. So it's time to rank the album, okay? We aren't going to put it in C. We're not going to put it in B. Once again, I'm thinking A tier, okay? And I'm going to put it behind Magic, in front of Lucky Town, and in front of Greetings. That's where it's going to sit. We only have a handful left. Western Stars. Okay. So, Western Stars came out in 2019, you know, pre-COVID, pre-Letter to You. He didn't do a tour for it, which is obvious because of COVID. They did do a film version, which I actually went and saw in select theaters, and but he's touring now and he's not doing any songs from this album. I feel like it's a very overlooked album. If somebody were to become a Bruce fan today, okay, they heard a song from Bruce, wanted to get into his discography, I feel this album would be an album that person would discover kind of towards the end, you know, because usually, like what happened to me, I would discover and listen through the bigger albums first, and then kind of go into more of the secluded ones. And I feel like, just to sum it up, I feel Western Stars is just a bit hidden, you know. And I must say, when the album first came out, it took me a while to get into it. Like, there was a few tracks, maybe like 4 or 5, that I really enjoyed playing, and I'd play on repeat. But as time went on, present day, today, I actually really dig the album. And I think it's a very, very strong album. Definitely better than Devils and Dust and Ghost of Tom Joad, in my opinion. So I do think it deserves to be in B tier, okay? And like I mentioned, it is better than Devils and Dust. So I'm going to put it there. Some highlights from Western Stars would be Hello Sunshine, There Goes My Miracle, Western Stars, The Wayfarer. What else you got? Moonlight Motel, great song. Tucson Train. Stones is even good. Sundown. Somewhere North of Nashville. It's a short but sweet song. The flow is pretty good in that song. So it does have a lot of highlights, in my opinion. Okay, moving on again. Okay, moving on. Alright, we got High Hopes. Is it? High Hopes. Okay. So, like I was saying there with Wrecking Ball, we got High Hopes after Wrecking Ball. And, like, there's some catchy songs, okay? It's an album compiling of covers and original tracks, okay? Because you have the American Skin studio version, and then you have the Ghost of Tom Joad electric version as well. But I just feel like there's just a lot of playful songs here, you know. It's hard to rank this one because it has some good songs, okay? But when I say good songs, like for example, the highlights would be High Hopes is good, Harry's Place, This Is Your Sword, Heaven's Wall. What else are we missing? I can't even think like off the top of my head, but they have songs such as Dream Baby Dream, The Wall, okay? And it's not a bad album, but like the songs I do enjoy from this album, I don't know how I would compare them to, let's say, songs I would enjoy on Western Stars or songs I'd enjoy on Magic, you know? So just because I say, oh, there's a lot of songs on High Hopes that I enjoy, I don't know how much on my level I enjoy them compared to other songs I enjoy. So for an album like High Hopes to be released after Wrecking Ball, I feel like it was kind of a bit of a low dopamine. I don't think a lot of people were too keen on it. I don't think it done that well commercially. It's not that well. It's not really critically acclaimed. It's not a global success. And you know, you have to consider it is sort of like a covers album, you know. So in that case, I have to put it down in C tier, okay? But giving it the benefit of the doubt, it is better than Working on a Dream. Okay, moving on. Okay, we got Born in the USA. So look, no blabbing about this. This is going straight into the S tier, above Nebraska, above Born to Run, and above Letter to You. It's just a masterclass album. It is definitely the most streamed album from Bruce's discography on Spotify with the Spotify plays. And overall, I think it's an album filled with the most hits, you'd like to call it, for fans and casual listeners. It's probably the biggest album in terms of hits, okay? Dancing in the Dark, I'm on Fire, Glory Days, My Hometown, Born in the USA. It's just a jam-packed album, okay? There's not much to really say about it. There's no flaws. Like, you really couldn't come up with a song you dislike from the album. It's just not there. Like, if you were forced to say one, you probably could say one that, you know, you wouldn't play as much as the others, but overall there's not much to say. It's staying there, top of S tier, okay? Massive global success, a huge critically acclaimed album. So yeah, Born in the USA deserves to be there. I would definitely listen to it more so than what else is under it within this tier list. So it's taking the top of the cake at the moment. 5 more to rank. Darkness. Okay, Darkness. Okay, so once again, Darkness is another S tier album, 100%. Okay, if people are familiar with my last Bruce ranking, Darkness actually took the cake on that video. It was my favorite album at the time. I love every single bit of it. It has 10 songs, short and simple, you know, and it's entertaining from start to finish. And I don't think you can really compare it to Born in the USA because it's just two different things. They're just two completely different albums about two completely different things, you know. So I think Darkness in of itself is just a special type of gem, and Born in the USA is another species, you know what I mean? Prove It All Night would be my favorite song. Badlands, The Promised Land, Factory, I really enjoy. Candy's Room, Darkness on the Edge of Town, Racing in the Street, Streets of Fire. Like, come on. You really can't go wrong with this album. So many big hits. Similar to Born in the USA, it has a lot of jam-packed hits as well. But I don't think as much as Born in the USA. But yeah, it's just, there's nothing bad to say about this. So we are going to rank this above Nebraska, above Born to Run, above Letter to You, and above Born in the USA. It is taking the top spot. 4 more albums. No, 3. Why didn't I take off Born in the USA? Yeah, we have 3 more albums. Okay, that's Born in the USA, but we already done that, so we'll remove that. Okay, Only the Strong Survive. 2 left after this. Okay, so Only the Strong Survive, Bruce's most recently released album. It's a covers album. Okay, there's going to be a volume 2. There's 15 tracks in the first one. A lot of volume 1 tracks are great listens. Okay, for being covers, they seem like they were kind of revived in such a different way that they don't sound like the cover so much, or the original so much, that Bruce done such a good job that you'd listen to them as a separate track because they differ. You know what I mean? So I think he done a really amazing job on reviving some of these classics, and I'm really intrigued. I kind of stuttered there, but I'm really intrigued in checking out the volume 2 when it comes out, and hopefully it's soon enough. So look, talking about the album personally, okay, it is a covers album. I'm not dropping points because it's a covers album, alright? Secret Sessions is in B tier, which is a good tier. But I feel like this album, I should rank it close enough to Secret Sessions, because like that, it's a big album. It has a lot of songs, but then there's a few songs I just, don't really listen to as much as some of the other ones. And some of the other ones, like some of the highlights I'd be talking about, would be Night Shift, Soul Days, the title track, When She Was My Girl, Turn Back the Hands of Time, Western Union Man. So there is some highlights in there, but there's also a few kind of gloomy tracks that wouldn't connect to me as much. And same with the original. If I go back and listen to the original, it's okay, but it's just the song in general, So I feel in that case it does bring down the album a small bit, and we are going to put it in B tier, but over Secret Sessions. Okay, down to our final 2, Human Touch and The Rising. Okay, it's The Rising. Okay, so The Rising, a very deep, emotional album, 15 songs, similar to what I was saying with The River. The track list of this album compiles of songs that are dark, deep, emotional, upbeat. It gives you a variety of different emotions. So you could be bopping it out, you could be crying in the same playthrough because of the variety of different feelings and emotions you could be having during a playthrough of this album. So for that reason alone, it's a roller coaster. It's the full package, and I think it does a better job of expressing emotions in terms of, and overall, like the overall backstory of the album as well makes it a lot more emotional and impactful, that I feel it's just an album you really can't beat. And for an album that also came close to halfway in Bruce's career, like before that we got the 90s era, where before The Rising, the last big album Bruce had was either Born in the USA or Tunnel of Love. So I feel like this was his big comeback album. He won a few Grammys for this, I think 2 or 3 maybe. So in that case, I gotta stop talking and go straight to the ranking. We are going to put this in S tier, okay? We're going to put it above Nebraska, above Born to Run, above Letter to You, above Born in the USA, and above Darkness. The Rising takes the cake. Well, we still have one more album, but at the moment, The Rising is the leader. Okay, there's no point spinning the wheel. Poor Human Touch, it doesn't get picked out from the wheel. Okay, this goes straight S tier. I feel like my favorite album of all time. Absolute bangers. I couldn't, you can't say much else. Like, who doesn't love this album? Why do I always keep hitting the mic? Who doesn't love this album? Pony Boy, 57 Channels. Okay, no, all jokes aside, okay, it's not going in S tier. I do like 57 Channels. Pony Boy was a mistake, but I do realize why he put it on the album. But to include it in the album, he should have just left it. But I think overall the album is actually really good. Like similar to Lucky Town, it gets a bad rap, okay, because he went with the other band. But I do like the kind of LA vibe with Human Touch. You know what I mean? The LA vibe kind of going on with the instrumental and even the lyrics, the wacky lyrics and stuff like that. Just watch the video for 57 Channels. Like, it's actually good crack. So like that, I think I would prefer Lucky Town over Human Touch, and that was a big decider for me too. Figuring out, do I prefer Lucky Town over Human Touch or Human Touch over Lucky Town? But I must say I do prefer Lucky Town over Human Touch, just because there's Pony Boy, Real Man. Real World is okay. Is it Real World? But they do have a lot of highlights. Human Touch has, the title track, 57 Channels, Cross My Heart, I Wish I Were Blind, With Every Wish, Roll of the Dice, All or Nothing at All. So it does have some classified bangers, and if you're in a good mood, you're in a kind of a boppy mood, and you're going down to the shop or something, playing this album for a song or two for a short while you drive, nothing better. It's actually very groovy. So I would place this album not in S tier, not in A tier, okay? I think B tier, okay? So we're going to place it in B tier. Would I listen to it more than Seeger Sessions? Yes. Would I listen to it more than Only the Strong? Yes. The E Street Shuffle? Yes. Devils and Dust? Yes. Western Stars? Yeah. I'm going to put it at the top of B tier. Okay? That is it. That is my list. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6. Okay, so we have 6 in S, we have 6 in A, we have 6 in B, and we have 3 in C tier. Okay? The Rising, Darkness, and Born in the USA would be my top 3 albums. And Ghost of Tom Joad, High Hopes, and Working on a Dream would be my least 3 albums. Interesting. Okay, so look, that was a bit of fun. I'm kind of glad we done this and introduced the spin wheel to make up our order for us. But I thought it was quite enjoyable. something different, and we could do something like this in the future with another artist or with anything really, because I actually had a lot of fun. Okay, we're going to leave it there. If you want to do your own ranking, put it down in the comment section, and hopefully everybody else sees it, and I will check it out myself if you do one. Just a little conversation starter where you can kind of check out other people's rankings and yeah. But look, this was personal opinion based. Okay, it's not fact, right? So I'm not saying it's 100% fact that these top 6 albums are the top 6 and nobody else can say otherwise. That's not what I'm saying. This is my opinion. I can't remember that well, but I do feel the list I have here differed from the last video I done, the Bruce ranking. But look, it's a bit of fun at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. We're going to leave it there. I've been Blizzards. Okay, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment down below, all that jazz. Check out the Patreon and the second channel if you want. And yeah, I guess I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.